Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to correct an omission from last month's presentation. In the Masters Monochrome division, we inadvertently left Gary Kelly's image, Old Tombstone, out of the show. Gary's entry was judged along with the other entries and did receive a score of 10 points. The July 2012 presentation, archived on our website, will be updated to include the missing entry. Thank you. Welcome to the Dallas Camera Club's print competition for August 2012. Our theme this month is Altered Reality, defined as one or more images manipulated in camera or during processing to create a departure from reality. Anything goes, for example, using distortions, montage, motion blur, composited images, trick lenses, or zoomed exposures. I will be narrating the commentary provided by this month's judge, Stacy Reeves, who, by the way, is of no relation. Stacy Reeves is a wedding and portrait photographer based in Dallas, Texas. She began her career as a photojournalist and sports photographer, covering local sports and events for various media outlets such as the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, Associated Press, and Sporting News. In 2007, she made the transition to wedding photography, and in 2010, she opened a beauty and boudoir portrait studio focusing exclusively on portraits of women. Her work has been featured in Grace Ormond Wedding Style, Country Living, Ladies Home Journal, Inside Weddings, The Knot, Southern Weddings, Brides, and Modern Luxury magazines. She teaches business workshops for wedding and portrait photographers. She is passionate both about the art and business of photography and helping other photographers learn how to make money doing what they love. First up is Beginner's Monochrome Prints. Praying for the World. This looks like a dream that someone might have had, and that's cool. Compositionally, the placement of the woman and the horizon line make use of the rule of thirds, and that's good. I like the texture of the sand, the dress, the globe, and the dunes, but they really compete for the attention of the viewer. I like the feel and content of the image, but some of the choices take away from the impact. The edging of the woman is really rough and needs to be cleaned up with a softer edge brush, maybe one with a hardness of 60 or so. There is a weird shadow on her foot, but whatever is causing the shadow isn't in the image, and that's confusing, so watch out for that. Also, the image is pixelated and looks like it was stretched from a smaller image file. 5 points. Tin Man Playing on the Beach. I get where you were going, but I'm not sure the execution worked as well as it could have. Technical issues detract from the impact of your image. I like the use of negative space on the right, but the pillar on the left could have been cropped out, and that would improve the composition for me. The Tin Man appears out of focus and pixelated. I'm not sure whether the sky was added later, but there is some edging visible around the Tin Man that isn't smooth and the horizon is slanted. Holding the Shift key while selecting in Photoshop will make for smoother lines. Use this especially on straight lines. They are impossible to do freehand. I like the placement of the light and the flare and the effect of the spot color. The sunrise-sunset is a good idea, but the light and shadows in the rest of the photo don't match, and the Tin Man appears to have been shot midday. Try taking the photo of the Tin Man at sunrise or sunset to get similar lighting. 5 points. Faithful Friend. My initial thought on this is wow. It's so crisp and the contrast is really great. The black and white treatment is well done and there's good tonal range. The photo is really busy though. There is a lot going on here. On the bottom left there is a half a helmet and a branch or post that's cutting through the horse's nose. Over on the right there is a weird grate on the ground that they're standing on, and these things distract. I like the leading line of the fence, and shifting the boy and the horse just a bit to the left would have helped emphasize that. There is something weird going on in the sky. I'm not sure if it's burned in too much or if the faces have been dodged to preserve some of the detail there. Whichever it is, it might have helped to just let the sky be blown out. It might have helped draw attention back to the faces. This is a cool shot and I bet the kid loves it. 7 points. London Eye by Richard Stern. This image is artistic and nostalgic, but doesn't really call out to me. I'm kind of middle of the road on this one. It has some good and some bad. I like the curve of the lines. It takes you through the image. I like the repetition of the cars. It feels very retro. The vignetting on the edges is not even. There's a band of darkness on the left that's wider than the one on the right, and I wonder if part of the photo was cropped off rather than it being intentional. 8 points. Snow Globe of Memories by Anupama Palmaraju. The blue toning is a really good choice. With the snow globe, my first thought is of cold and snow, and the blue adds to that. I like the way that the middle globe is off center, and then the other globes pop up in the four corners. The problem areas are the bright spots to the left and right of the main globe. There isn't a lot of detail there, but it does draw the eye. Where you want the eye to go is right to the center where your little guys are, but they are almost lost due to the lack of contrast. If your little guys were pushed out a little bit to the left and right into the bright spots, that would have increased their impact. You can also see where their legs seem to be dangling off the bottom of the snow globe. The text behind the main snow globe is a little distracting and doesn't add anything to the image. The only text you should be able to see is the Niagara Falls, and that part is cool. I like the way the flecks of snow are blurred, and I like the gritty softness of the image. Applying that same effect to the little guys in the globe would have helped too. 8 points and honorable mention. On a Clear Day You Can See Forever by Jim Stump. This is cool. I like this a lot. Neat concept. I think this would have been even more wow in color. With an image like this, I really want to see the blue of the sky, and in black and white I feel like I'm missing something. This might even work as a blue tone monochrome. The curve is in the middle of the photo from top to bottom, and that detracts. It also looks a little soft and pixelated and not very crisp. I think moving the curve towards the top or the bottom would help move the eye through the image rather than stopping it in the middle. I like the clouds in the background, and the placement of the clouds in the reflection help balance the image. 9 points and 3rd place. Coleus Twirl by Pat Camp. I could look at this for hours. It's so interesting, there's so much going on, it doesn't even look like a photo. It looks like digital art, and that's not a bad thing. There's almost a 3D effect to this print. It would look great on metallic paper. I think shifting the center of the swirl just a bit would have helped the composition. I like the placement of the lights and darks, and it has very nice texture. This could have been a chaotic mess, but it really works and looks like there is some choice and purpose to it. I wish I could see a little bit more of what this was before you got your hands on it. I can kind of see some rock or leaves, but I think it would be an interesting story to have the reality at the edge of the image and moving into altered reality towards the center. But ultimately this is so artistic and it works. 10 points and 2nd place. Papillon by Susan Burciaga. I really like this one a lot. This is really cool. The impact of this is really strong. I think he made good compositional choices. Even though the dog is centered, the point of interest is the dog's face and the butterfly, and that part is higher and it works really well. I love the treatment of this photo. I like that it's warm rather than pure black and white. Sepia tone doesn't always work, but it works well here. The grain and contrast are good, and it has an almost painterly effect. The butterfly is really cool, and I like the way it isn't superimposed, and the way that the wings follow the shape of the dog's ears and whiskers. This image is really well done. 14 points and 1st place. Next we have Advanced Monochrome Prints. Rose Apparition by Waylon Threadgill. I really like the impact of this image. It really struck me when I saw it. The composition is good. I like the use of negative space along the bottom and the placement of the candle. The one thing I would like to have seen is the rose moved over to the left just a little bit to balance the candle in the corner. Technically, I think the candle is a little out of focus, which I don't like, especially since the rose and the border are so crisp. The lighting is good, and smoke is really fun to photograph and not always easy. You did a good job with that. Good job incorporating the rose into the shot. 10 points and honorable mention. Exploding Woody by Jerry Martin. This is really cool. Zoom focus is not easy to do well. I love that you tried this. You don't see this technique done very often. This works best when there are light trails to connect the smaller image to the bigger image, and you have that connection here with the glare from the bumper. The placement of the smaller card could move to the right and up, and the composition might work a little better, and may have emphasized the zoom better as well. The smaller photo seems to be out of focus while the larger one is sharp. A smaller aperture would help with that. If one of your images is going to be out of focus, it should be the larger one and have the smaller image sharp. This gives the larger image a more ghostly appearance and seems more natural. There is a bluish tint to the print, and I think a true black and white print would have been better for this shot. I realize that is probably the result of a home printer. 11 points and third place. Dog Days, Not by Andy McCulloch. I really like this one. It looks like the fish are coming out of the print, and I love the dog coming through. He's hilarious. I really like the composition. I like the space on the right side. There's a great sense of motion, giving space for the fish on the left to move into, while having some of the fish on the right leaving the frame. I wish the photo were a little more clear. It seems a bit grainy and pixelated, and the impact suffers for that. The lighting and contrast are really good and contribute to the quality of the photo. 11 points and second place. D-Day Airborne Invasion by Jay Hoppenstein. This one really struck me. I like this one a lot. I think the strong horizontal crop is really interesting. Good use of rule of thirds with your lower horizon and the heads along the top. The silhouette along the bottom balances the face on the upper right. This was a smart choice. Adds balance, and it leads my eye around the photo. The mannequin-like look of the face I can see in the top right corner has an almost painterly quality and makes me want to keep looking. The edging along the grass and barbed wire could be cleaned up a bit. Use a soft brush with a hardness of 60 to 70 to blend it in better. The edging on the silhouette is well done. 13 points and first place. Next we have Masters Monochrome Prints. Sleepy Wood Sprite by Bill Hayes. When I first looked at this, I saw the face, but I thought it was a bird's eye view of a gnarled tree stump. I don't know if you found this or created this in Photoshop. If you found it, it's a great find, but if you created it, it's even more impressive. I see that you added the eyes, and that was really well done. The bright spots are around the eyes and the mouth, and that's where they belong. Good compositional choices. I like the natural vignetting created by the background. The image has a good tonal range, and it's not muddy. It looks like Big Bird or Wile E. Coyote. Actually, it looks like if Big Bird and Wile E. Coyote had a child, and that child became a tree, and if you chopped down that tree, that's what this picture would be. 11 points, an honorable mention. Lulu's by Suzanne Graham. I could look at this image for hours and not have a clue as to what's going on here. It feels like it could be the inside of a golden snitch from Harry Potter. I like the composition. Even though it's centered, the asymmetrical shape makes it work. I like the darker image and the way the image gets brighter towards the middle. The toning on the outer edges seems pinkish while the center seems more orange. Balancing that out would have helped maintain the monochrome effect. But that's a nitpicky thing. The caution label in the middle bothers me, and I wish that it had been cloned out or scraped off. The image looks surreal, but the warning label ruins the effect a little. It's weird and I like it. It's weird in a good way. 12 points and third place. Deep Ellum by Frank Richards. This is really cool. It doesn't look like a monochrome, but it is. You could have just repeated 3 buildings over and over, but I like that you chose so many different ones. It's so interesting and seems purposeful. It's great to accidentally take a cool photo, but it's even better to do it on purpose. I like the fact that you chose the water tower for the center. I think the spiral going in and around the center is really great. Good use of the golden spiral. The buildings are a little bit busy. I think maybe using some buildings that were simpler and having the busyness increase towards the center, or vice versa, would have helped lead the eye. The only thing I don't like is the sky behind the water tower. It feels soft and blurry and doesn't really fit with the rest of the image. I love the toning, the warmth of the red. I love the gradiness of the buildings. It really fits Deep Ellum. 13 points and second place. Swamp by Kay Hargis. This is another one of those things you dream. But to me, of all the things that seem dreamlike that I've seen tonight, this is the most realistic. You did a really good job with the lights, making sure that the light matches the shadows. The texture and feel of the building matches the texture and feel of the swamp. It really looks like this place actually exists. I want to be there. I love the composition. I like the addition of the alligator. It would have been a great shot without it, but it adds something to the image. I love the randomness and the absurdity of the potted plant in the middle of a swamp, the window and the stairs to nowhere. There's so much absurdity and so much awesomeness. The brightest part of the picture is right where it should be, and the trees frame everything really well. The image is really sharp. When I get super close, I can see some issues along the upper left side of the structure where it meets the tree. The edge goes from rough to blurry, but that's getting really nitpicky. From far away, it's perfect. 14 points and first place. Monochrome Judge's Choice Award goes to Welcome by Dennis Ritchie. I want to find this door and go through there. I like it. Again, it's one of those shots that looks like a dream. I do have a pet peeve though, about things in edges and corners that don't add to the image, and the black object in the bottom right corner and some curvy hair-like things on the rocks on the left bug me. I like how the leaves along the top and the dark tree along the right frame the image. I like the image in monochrome. The image is crisp and the texture is really good. You did a really good job with the depth of field here, and it really looks like whatever is on the other side of the door is further away. I don't know if this is 2 or 3 shots put together, but it looks real. The perspective and the lighting are really good. 10 points. We're now going to take a look at the color prints, starting with the beginners. Hear No Evil. This is a shot that you see done a lot. There are some compositional problems here, and the impact is hurt by that. The position of the bench is unbalanced left to right, and we have some posing problems. Be careful when taking pictures of women, as it can go awry. Having the arms out to the side, as in the Hear No Evil pose, can be unflattering. Also, because she is sitting down, her lower legs are closer to the camera than the rest of her. This, along with the fact that she's pressing her legs against the bench, makes them seem larger than they really are. So be careful how you pose your models. The lighting is harsh and seems to be the result of using an on-camera flash. Using an off-camera flash makes an image look more professional and less snapshotty, and is more flattering to people's skin. Watch out for over-sharpening as well. 4 points. Horsing around. The shot is well exposed and her expression is happy. It looks like an overcast day and the light is coming from behind her. This is causing the light on her to be dull. Having her face the other way would have turned the sky into a huge softbox and would have provided more flattering light. The horse's position is a little awkward and the head seems disconnected from the body. Having the horse's body pointing the other direction may have helped with that. I've photographed portraits with horses a number of times, and some owners insist that the horse's ears must face forward. Nowadays I can't not see it when I see portraits with horses. Watch out when using a painterly effect on people, as it tends to emphasize wrinkles and can age a person. This effect usually only works well on young children or very old people when you want to really bring out and focus on the wrinkles. 6 points. Downtown flowers. I'm big on light matching. I love the colors and love the idea, but the buildings are reflecting a blue sky while the sky around the buildings is orange. The picture takes me to a cool mental place, but that mismatch of the sky is like seeing a microphone dangling from the top of the scene in a movie. Try retaking the building shot at sunrise or sunset and it will match a lot better. The flowers are out of focus and they take up a lot of the photo. Out of focus elements in the foreground can work, but they need to be smaller. So the flowers either need to be sharp or made smaller. I like what I can see of the cityscape. The buildings form a triangle that makes for a good composition. 6 points. Alexa. It's like the Rocky Horror Picture Show in reverse. I like the concept, but it may be a little too simple. Maybe it needs something like a crazy expression or something else to set it apart. I love the high key effect where you've blown everything out to show the details. I would have loved to have seen this with blue or green eyes. There's a lot of detail lost here in the eyes since they're a dark brown. Keep working with this concept and see how you can improve it. There's a lot of potential here. 7 points. Water Lily by Pat Camp. I like this. It feels more like art than photography, but I'm not holding that against it. I love the color palette, and overall the impact is good. I can see a ton of teenage girls hanging this in their room. There are a couple of things that could be removed to clean up the composition. There's a small shape near the left edge, and a small gray thing over on the right that would be real easy to remove from this image. Doing so would help bring the focus back to the flower in the center of the image. Also, the print looks great from a distance, but up close it appears a little pixelated and soft. 8 points, and honorable mention. Rogue Wave by Jackie Carver. This looks like it could be an oil painting. There's a depth to it. It would look great printed on a canvas with a gesso texture painted over it. I can see a dragon's face and his claws in the shapes. I like the color palette and the darkness at the top. I like the way it fades from soft to focus. It leads the eye. Up close there is some pixelization and it looks like this was a smaller portion of a larger image that was blown up, and it suffers a little for that. 9 points and 3rd place. Crystal Chrysanthemum by Richard Stern. I love this as a work of art. I'd love to see this as a triptych with one in green and one in blue maybe. I like the centered composition, but I wish the top petal wasn't cut off by the border so that it matched the bottom a little better. I like the fade from red to yellow in the background and the fade from yellow to red on the flower. The detail gets lost on the top half where it's really red, and that's a bummer because it's the coolest element. I love the treatment in the processing. This border doesn't always work, but it does here. Great artsy shot. 10 points and 2nd place. Blowin' in the Wind by Jim Stump. I love this. I don't know if this was an accident or on purpose, but I want to hang it in my house. I like the blue at the top and the red cutting through the middle. I like the pops of color in this very pale image. Normally having no detail in the blacks is bad, but it works well here. There is so much movement in this shot. You could have applied tons of filters and you didn't, and that works. You allowed the simplicity of this image to prevail. 13 points and 1st place. Up next, we have Advanced Color Prints. Sometimes Film is Dead by Steve Reeves. I really like the crop and like that it's different and artistic, so kudos for thinking outside the box. I like the progression. It leads your eye from left to right in a way that makes sense. I assume this is film that's been scanned in, which is cool. The burn marks are neat. I don't like that the first 4 shots are in focus and that the last one isn't. I could totally see this in a coffee house. It has a very hipster feel and I think they would think it was cool. 10 points, an honorable mention. Missed the Last Turn by Jay Hoppenstein. This could almost be an oil painting. Beautiful light, beautiful colors. I like the compositional choices here. The curved path leads into the photo. You can't really see the fence, but there's enough there that the mind's eye sees it and leads you through. The lines really balance it out. The lighting on the horses is different from the lighting on the rest of the scene. The scene is warm and looks to be near sunset, while the light on the guys is very contrasty and looks to be taken in much brighter light. It also appears that the light on the horses is coming from one direction, while the light in the scene is coming from the other direction. It doesn't bug me that much, but it would have been better for them to match. The post-processing is really good, and I love the colors. 11 points, and 3rd place. Unzip the Colors by Waylon Threadgill. This is just so cool. What a cool concept. It's so colorful. The impact is great. I like that it's centered and that the zipper pull is a little off. I love the use of a sharpener as the zipper pull. What I don't like is the border. I liked it on the other photo, but here it's too busy and it competes. A nice, clean, sharp border would have been better. The shot is well lit and well exposed. If you were to reshoot this with more of a rainbow arrangement, it might make for a good stock photo that you could sell. With a stock photo, you'd want it to be clean and less processed so that whoever bought it would be able to adjust it to their needs. 12 points and 2nd place. Water Lily by Janie Rumberger. This is a beautiful work of art. The lighting is great, the shadows are beautiful, the vignetting draws the eye where it's supposed to go. I would love to see the original to see how you got here. I like how the leaves keep it from being too symmetrical. Everything makes sense, and it's a really well done shot. 13 points, 1st place. Masters Color Prints. Irving High School presents Grease by Paula Buzinius. This feels more like a commercial shot than an artistic one, but I like it. The groups are well placed. The text is well placed, but maybe it could be moved down a little to give some separation between the words in the stage. I like the group shots. The choice of moments is really good and they lead the eye through the image. I really like the guy with the mic up at the top. There are some technical issues. The girl in the blue on the top left corner, I can see where she was cut out. Same thing with the guy at the top. You might spend some more time with the eraser tool to clean those up. That can be time consuming, but it can make for a more professional result. Overall, it's really well done, and I can see where one of the students would love to have this hanging on their wall. 11 points and honorable mention. Adieu by Dennis Fritchie. This has been a really hard category to judge. So many are worthy of awards. I love this shot. It's beautiful. The image is dark, but under the right light, it comes out just enough. The little bit of brightness on the bench gives the hint of sunrise, which is really cool. It gives you an idea of what's going on outside the image. The owl is really interesting, but I'm not sure about the bear in the background. He's leaving the frame and you can't see him very well. I feel it takes the interest away from the owl. Coco Chanel said, before you leave the house, take off one thing. And the same can apply to photos. Before you publish an image, consider taking a step back. Now, for others, it may be that this picture is all about the bear, so it's subjective. 11 points, third place. Pressing My New Kayla by Frank Richards. I love how well lit this image is. It's clean. There are no patterns in the carpet, no tags on the curtains, no sockets on the wall. These are details that not everyone notices, and it's the kind of thing that separates the pros from the hobbyists. A lot of attention to detail went into making this look real, and that's impressive. There are a couple of small technical issues. The light in the room is very soft and flat, but on the flower the light is strong and the shadows are strong. Dulling the color in the flower some would help make it match the rest of the photo. There's a shadow missing where the left hand is holding a fold in the flower, and adding that would add to the realism. Also, you missed a spot. I can see a reflection in the iron. Taking a second shot from a slightly different angle would give you an easy way to remove the reflection. 12 points in second place. This also wins our Judge's Choice Award for color prints. Abandonment by Houston Brown. This is crazy. Where was this taken? This has to be Detroit. The impact is awesome. I like the leading lines. When you put this much work into a shot, there's no excuse for not getting the composition right, and you did a good job with that. Everything brings you to a central point. There are so many interesting elements throughout the photo, the bullet holes, the Coke can. You did a really good job on this in Photoshop. I feel like I have to judge this a little harder because I can see the potential here. There are a few issues that could be cleaned up, like cracks in the pavement that go through Coke cans and broken glass that extend through the panes. Nitpicky things, but I can see the potential of what you can do. Kudos. 13 points and first place. This concludes the August 2012 competition for the Dallas Camera Club. Congratulations to this month's winners. You've been listening to the voice of Steve Reeves, one of the print competition coordinators. I would like to take a moment and thank Stacy Reeves and Clark Crenshaw for their time and expertise and for volunteering to judge this month's competitions. I would also like to take a moment and thank Karen Mack, Dave Rocher, and Aaron Curry for helping in the production of this competition and this show.